Hello everyone and welcome to Yammy for once more. This is Tolis. How about to practice together today? And this is the video title, Practicing a Scale. We're gonna make, of course, the long story short here for the purposes of our video. We don't want this video to last for 1 or 2 hours, or the appropriate amount of time each one needs about any subject here. Today I choose the Dorian scale because I believe it's very familiar scale for many guitarists out there. And let's say we're going to have the key of C Dorian today. I assume now that I don't know the scale, and I want to learn it as much as possible to my whole fretboard here. So the logic comes to the cage system. That means in the guitar everything is movable. So everybody has his own approach how he thinks things, but all roads lead to Rome. That means that we all gonna get to the C Dorian eventually, no matter how we think we're going to go there. Someone thinks right away the Dorian scale and have it in his mind like this. For me, it's the major scale from the second degree. Now I need to start from the second note of one major scale. And if we are talking for the C Dorian here, the major scale, it's B flat major. So let me now start practicing briefly my fingerings. The first one, if I have here the B flat major, now if I start from here, or some players like to do that instead of that, it doesn't matter. So let's say we do that now. Now the second B flat major is here, so I will start from C. Now the other, it's here. So pretty much those are the figurings. When I'm in practice, if I don't know how to do this thing, I put the right amount of time that I need to learn this thing. Of course, it's impossible to memorize this thing in one day. Maybe for some it is possible, I don't know. But usually we need to meet the scale many times in our practice sessions. It's good to start learning the chords of the scale. For example, C minor 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7th, F dominant, and then I'm going to the G minor 7th, to A half diminished, and to the B flat major 7th. Next thing I do on the scale is I try to play the scale in intervals, and that means maybe not seconds, but right away thirds. And so on. One good thing in the Dorian scale all the time is to practice the fourth intervals. may go beyond that, maybe the fifths, but thirds and fourths for the beginning are really good to start put them on your daily schedule practice. The other thing, I play the triads. Seventh chords. The arpeggios, and you will learn them in each position. If I pick up now sounds through my practice, I can make good phrasing out of the Dorian scale. The Dorian scale is the sixth note that makes it different from any minor scale. That means if I take the notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 without playing the 6, those are exactly the same notes as the C Aeolian, C natural minor scale. So what is this note that makes a distinction between the two scales? It's the sixth note. That means the natural scale has flat 6 and the Dorian has major 6. So this major 6 interval above the root here, it's very important for the scale. And then I will try to find all those sounds that I've been practicing before. Which one of those sounds includes this A note inside? For example, C triad or C minor 7 don't have the characteristic note, but it's the root, so the root is all the time important. Now the next chord, D, F, A, now there is the characteristic note. So this triad or this seventh chord, D minor triad or D minor seventh chord, is very important for the Dorian sound. Then E flat major seventh, not characteristic chord, but it's good chord that substitute the tonic chord. For example, 3, 5 flat seventh and 9 for the one chord, but not characteristic, but beautiful chord instead of one. And then I have my F triad. Again, I have this A note, so very important triad and very important chord, F7th, for the Dorian sound. Then I have the G minor 7th here. Good sound to play instead of tonic. It makes the tonic like 11th chord, but not characteristic chord, but still good sound. Next sound is the A diminished triad, but you know the diminished triad has the characteristic note, but it's very dangerous chord because it contains this tritone interval of the scale that desperately wants to resolve to the 1, and the 1 here is the B flat major, because the Dorian scale, as we said before, is the second mode of any major scale. For this case, the C Dorian scale belongs to the B flat major scale, so I will try to avoid at the beginning this A diminished triad or A half diminished chord. And after that I have again the B flat triad. Good sound for the tonic chord because it makes it again minor 11th chord. But when I put the 7th, the major 7th, B flat major 7th, now I have the characteristic chord. And this happens, and this is something that happens on modes frequently, that as I increase the harmony, the whole game changes about characteristic notes. With a quick research, I started understanding deeper the scale, and I started understanding which sounds that they are hidden inside the scale are very important for the Dorian sound. And those sounds are all those sounds that contains the A note, except at the beginning this A diminished triad or A half diminished chord, which is maybe used, but you have to be a little bit more experienced to use it. But if you stay in D minor triad, in F major triad, and the C minor triad, everything is going to sound very nice. For example, and then I start take out those sounds from the scale and start practice them on their own. and I know they're part of the scale. I know there are sounds that belong to scale, but I try to create a whole new environment on my fretboard here that consists only for the important sounds. For example, C minor, C minor 7, F major triad, F dominant 7, and the D minor or D minor 7. So another good concept is also to try to experiment with different rhythmic patterns over the scale on all positions. So when I say one note, two notes, three notes, four notes, five notes, six notes, seven notes, and eight notes, I mean over one beat. So I keep a fairly good tempo, not very fast, because I won't be able to do all that rhythms. And rather than to learn patterns with those rhythms over my guitar neck, which is eventually it's going to happen, but if you internalize really the rhythm, what you want to play, for example, things like that, you will be able to execute it no matter in which place or which position on the guitar neck. This is another concept, the rhythmic pyramid, what I call rhythmic pyramid.